Hey, Sumit on this side. This is the fifth video in our series, and as you can see, I'm already going ahead and editing some of the issues. I'll tell you why, but let me just confirm this. So I'm going to give it permissions to both read issues, edit issues, read list of issues, etc. from GitHub. So it's going to check the issues that are there, and then simply going to take the issue and update. Why did I need to do this? And the reason for that is because I looked at the issues like in the previous video. If you have not watched it, you can go ahead and check it out. But in that video we created these issues with Claude code, and then like I said, this is the structure that I follow. And of course you can have different structures, but I'm just laying out a structure that I follow, and it's important to have some structure. So having a claude.md file, we saw that in the previous video, and having these GitHub issues being created, you can use other tools for that, and we'll discuss a couple tools later on maybe. But having a structure is extremely important. Like, it's so much more important than not having one. We can definitely, like we said in the like I said in the last time, we can definitely just create one project out of one prompt and go ahead with it, but it's going to be hard to maintain. So having that maintainability from the get-go, from the beginning, like I go step by step. So how do I do that? So I look at the tickets, and what I notice is that it created too many. So it got the project brief from that one liner that I had in the readme. So the readme had like one liner. I can show it to you. If you go to the readme of this project, I believe it's still there. So find, download, and browse publicly available data either from APIs or stores like Amazon S3. And what it did is, if you look at this ticket, I don't know if it is still there. Maybe it has already changed it, but okay, it has already changed it. So this ticket, for example, RESTful API endpoints, it had created. So the project has two sides to it. It has the the visible side, the UI side, which is the web application, and the backend side, which is a Go application that will basically built in Go, the language Go, and the front end is built in TypeScript. And the Go language backend will have basically all the communication to download files, to download from fetch from APIs, etc. So whatever data you want to browse in, like in the first case we want to browse only Hacker News data, so that data will be fetched by that backend. Let's say call it backend, and that backend is also where the entire app will be packaged, and installers will be there for that backend. So the backend somehow will also package the front end inside it. I have no clue how to do it in Golang, so we'll see. This is also new territory for me. We'll see how it will do. But the idea is that, and I wish I could have shown you the earlier ticket, is that this ticket was really large. Like, it had a lot of content in it. It was talking about many endpoints. It would do a lot of features, and that's what we should avoid. We should avoid going from 0 to like 100. We should go step by step. Maybe 2 or 3 steps at a time is also fine. I prefer to go as small steps in the beginning as possible till I've proven the system. And by system, I mean, can I test the software? Is it easy for me to get up and running? Can I see where the errors are going, etc., etc.? Then I would go ahead and start building more features quickly. So yeah, I cut them short. What did I ask Claude? Let's see that. So I said, please check and update GitHub issues 1, 2, and 3. The aim is to create and use only one API. So only one API that will show the path to users' home directory in the home page. So web app opens up in the browser, homepage only show the current user's home directory. So in my case, if you're using Mac OS or Windows or Linux, whatever you're using, you have a home directory for yourself, right? And that is the only thing I want to be shown. The data should be fetched from the backend, the Go backend, Golang backend, and should be shown in the TypeScript frontend, the React frontend that we are going to build. The web app should just show that after fetching from the API. There are no other APIs at the moment, so update number 3. So number 3 had this long list of APIs. It got everything removed, which is great. Now we are at that point that we can now start coding this. We should generate TypeScript types for API from Go backend and have a command for that. Now this part is very technical, or at least if you're not introduced to the concept of types and having the types being like, one is there is types, so TypeScript versus JavaScript. There is the concept of like JavaScript doesn't have data types in the language, as in doesn't need you to explicitly mention that. So a number versus let's say a decimal point, or say a date, things like these, you can just throw them in and let the language guess. Most languages, many languages work like this, and there are many languages which need to explicitly specify the data type you're working with. And it's just it's a fairly long discussion, and to be honest, like it's just not going to fit a video like this. So I'm not going to go into the details, but this is something I know from my own experience, that I prefer having the types there. And this is something that you can read a little bit, but here is the interesting part. Because we are using AI generated coding, we don't need to know all the details. We could have simply asked for advice, from Claude AI or something, like how to architect such software. And one of those points could be this point, like try to use languages which have types, or when you're exchanging data in an API, try to use types. So even if I mention that, it should have still worked. We'll see how to tone these down so that every one of us can understand. And like I'm saying, like this series is also for me to understand some of these things, like how do we shape the future of such software. Like everybody can contribute, everybody can build. But unfortunately, this particular thing needs a little bit of that engineering knowledge, that experience that I have from my previous work, and I do not know how else to express it in a more simplified way, at least not in this short video. So let's just stick with this for now. I'm going to come back to it at a later point, but yeah, I just mentioned that, and it did what it did. You can see that it updated the tickets. Let me see some of the tickets, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start building this now. So the tickets will stay like this. So you can come to this project. By the way, I'll share the link on YouTube, and you can come to this project. So it has done this. It has updated. There is only one API. It returns the user's home directory. So this has become very, very clear now. I am hoping that it has also done that in the React front end. Yeah. Create simple homepage that displays home directory. So I'm guessing all of this will now work out. Now what will be the prompt, the next prompt, and I'm going to initiate this, and I'm going to let it handle. Please attempt number 1 on GitHub, use git command, because I have the command installed, and that's the easiest way for Claude Code to access. Please oops, update ticket, check tasks, and done. Commit and push to separate branch. I'll also explain these later on. Okay, let it go. So separate branch. Each feature is isolated when we are working on it, if it is possible to make it isolated. Generally, most work can be isolated. So we have what we call a main branch. In this case, a main branch is whenever you go to a project. Let's go to some other project. Let's say I go to GitHub / any project that I have. Let's say this project. This project is also vibe coded, by the way. This is also my project. So there is the main branch. This is the main branch. And you can see the other branches. So wherever I experiment or I create new features, they are different branches. All of the code is actually still AI generated, but AI, Claude Code in this case, will open a different branch and will update the changes to that branch and push it to github.com. So the branch, obviously, when it is coding, is in my machine, on my computer. But then at the end of its work being done, as you will see here, it will ask for these permissions, do all the code editing. You will see it will also ask for, like, can I edit files and all, and I'll say yes to all of those things. And then it will simply push those changes to online, to GitHub. Now this online doesn't mean that it is going somewhere where you will be immediately able to use this. This is not like saying that I'm pushing an app to you. I'm pushing the source code of the app to wherever. By the way, Golang, the language is not installed for me, so that is going to get stuck. That's interesting. I didn't think of it before, but that's okay. It's trying to install Go now. What I'll do is I want to install Go a different way. I want to make sure that Go is installed the way that I prefer installing on my computer. Again, these are a little more nuanced, but that's okay. You can also go ahead with whatever it is suggesting. That's sometimes fine, sometimes not. Make sure to double check some of these commands when it wants to run some of these commands where you feel like it's going beyond the project. This one is going to install Go on my computer, so it's definitely going beyond the project. In those cases, again, Some of these things may be a little difficult, some of this may be just sounding a bit gibberish. We'll come to all of those things. This is a long drawn process. Like I said, it's not going to be like magic. There's no magic here, but the beauty of it is still that everybody can create code, use some of the some thinking processes here, learn some of the things, and you'll still be able to build your own software. That's the whole aim, and I think we'll still be able to achieve that. No matter some of these obstacles, we'll be able to cross them. Okay, so for now I'm going to cut this video, I'm going to install this, let it go ahead and finish these two tasks, and I'm going to record after that. So I want to quickly show this part. I installed Go myself, and all I had to do, so it was getting stuck here, it was trying to install, it needed permission on Linux, because on Linux, like if you're trying to install something at the level of the operating system, at the level of like the system, then you need a root level permission, a system level permission, let's say, and it did not have that, etc. It got stuck, whatever. So I simply switched. I have another terminal where I could just do an install of Go. It worked fine. That's not an issue. So then what I did was, where it got stuck, I said, so there is this option to tell Claude to do differently. That's basically pressing escape. When I press escape, it comes out, but it does not come out of Claude, just comes out of whatever it was doing right now. All I did is then tell this, I have installed Go, please continue working. That's it. Sometimes that alone, if you are in the middle of the task, will be enough. You cleared the impediment, the hindrance yourself, you installed whatever was needed, maybe something was needed, and then you just come back to this task and let it go. That's it. So now let's hope the rest of the Go commands, etc. Let's see. So it's looking for backend, it's going to execute go get or whatever command it is, and okay, it's running now. So yeah, I'll let it finish this again, the 2 tickets, and I'll come back. Hey, so Claude has finished working on issue number 1, and that's fantastic. I had to do a few things, just some housekeeping. Just want to make sure that we are, we understand some of these things. So the claude.md file. So there is a markdown file which is named Claude, and that's like Claude's one of the like suggested best practices is that you use this file, and you can generate this with Claude Code, by the way. You use this file for hygienic purposes, right? So to kind of maintain the project. So this is like checkboxes, let's say, things to do for maintaining hygiene, and for the project, Claude will follow these as they have been set down. Now, what is it that I do is that in a project, because in this project, for example, there is a backend and there is a web application, the UI application, and there's the backend which will manage all the data, downloads, all of that. It's recommended when the project gets large that you can have different claude.md files in each of these folders. So one for the backend, one file in the front end as in the web application, and that's totally fine, and one in the root. So if you remember, in I believe the previous video, we had created that one claude.md file in the root of the project, but it did not really have much. We can have a glance at it. It didn't really have much because the project was also basically empty. We did not start working on it, so there's nothing that it had. Now it has something. Oh, sorry, I cannot show it to you because it's not yet on this on github.com, at least not in a state that I can make it. Like I cannot show the previous version. Claude has already updated it to the new version. Anyway, so we can see the new version, and for that new version, what we are going to see is that I asked. So first, let's see the prompt. So this is the prompt. Please add backend/claude.md as needed for backend. So just specifying that is good enough. It's much better than not having one. And please update the root claude.md to reflect the development workflow we use now. What I mean to say is that, and I'm going to check it right now in this video while I'm recording, whether it has basically put in that we created a branch, and see, it did. Feature branch development process, and that's what I wanted, right? It should create branches on Git when it is working on new features. Similarly, it should have branches for bug fixes, /, and this is very standardized. It is like there's almost like it's almost like accepted in the industry as a standard. Well, not really, but almost, and that's what I follow. So what I just did is that this was not there in this specification in claude.md, but claude.md, because Claude Code is keeping context of what we are doing in this chat. It figured out that these are the things that I care about, that because we created a branch, I specifically mentioned that it did create a branch. It used that as the development workflow and simply put it into the Claude.md file. So if I preview this file, it looks like a nice, file with all of these things mentioned here. And that's good enough for me. I will not touch this file. I will not manually edit this file right now at all. In fact, I will not do this for this entire video series. And yeah, that's it. That's a good place to start. We keep on updating using Claude this file, and that's good enough. Okay, so we also have another one here. This is specifically for the backend. As you can see, this is all backend related, Golang related stuff. Again, I don't want to touch it. I just want to make sure that it is doing it. It's just for cleanliness, hygiene, and that's it. I'm happy. Now what do? We go to github.com, into the project, and I see that there is a new pull request. What is a pull request? Well, new code has been created. It's in a branch, and I can take that code, and if I like it, of course, in my case, I'm not even going to review the code, not like line by line. So all I'm going to do is try to run it. Now, in this particular case, running this is basically this command. I believe the command has already been mentioned here. Yeah, go run cmd server main.go. Okay, let's try that. So I'm in backend, go run cmd, so cmd/server main.go. Okay, fail to start server, listen, already in use. Oh, okay, so already in use generally means that another process, another application is listening to this port. Port is like port 80, if you know already, is like the default port for HTTP. That's how like most of the websites and the browsers are communicating with each other. In this case, as you can see, it's trying to connect with 8080, port 8080:8080. But it's already in use, so I'm guessing that Claude is running it already. I don't know how it is, where it is, whatever. I have no clue. And to be honest, like, I can ask Claude. It seems the backend is running since I get this error. So this is where what I'm saying. The most important tool that we have at our disposal is to negotiate with the AI agent. So I'm gonna simply copy this. Fail to start. I can also copy the one, by the way, with error in it, but yeah, any one of them is probably going to be good enough. Please stop it so I can start myself. Okay, let's see. Okay, whatever it is doing, I have no clue. Like, I have a clue, but yeah, let's say we have no clue. Okay, it found out, I'm guessing, which is the one, or maybe not. Okay, cool, it runs. I have no clue what it will do now, so I can go to port 8080. The way to do it is just localhost 8080 and 404 page not found, which is totally fine, by the way. At least it does something, I guess, whatever. Fair enough. So that is good enough for me. I'm going to go ahead, go to GitHub, because like I said, there is no UI at this moment, and I don't want to be very technical in, and check what it is doing in the code, or be able to like talk to the API directly with some kind of an API browser, etc. I don't want to go into that hassle right now. So let's just say this is good enough. We are going to switch to the next ticket. I wanted to merge this content into the project so that we can switch to ticket number 2, because in ticket number 2 it's going to use the front end, and in the front end it's going to integrate to that back end. I'm not sure if we need to do ticket number 3 first. I'm guessing we need to. So let's just go ahead and mention that. So how I'll mention it is that it will figure out if it needs to do ticket 3 before ticket 2. So up to it. I don't know. but it seems like there is a dependency between these two. By the way, you can also ask Claude to specify the dependencies and mention it in the ticket. That will give you some help, some hints. That helps a lot. So some of these things, again, whenever it gets technical, ask. So please attempt ticket. In fact, I can do this. Yes, awesome. Okay, please update tickets. Also check if 2 depends on 3, and if so, tackle that as well. That's it. That's generally good enough. Now in this case, the reason I would do that, and I would probably not attempt ticket 3 first, because if I knew that ticket 3 was much larger, in this case from the ticket I know that it's not large. It's just literally one API endpoint, like API/home. Of course, you may not know how large this is. I may not also know. So sorry for that. In this context, I knew it, so it just kind of came out of my mind. But if I didn't know, I would ask. And that's the best way to do it. Again, ask, right? So in this case, I knew that this would probably be a small one, so I let it just go with the flow and finish both of them together. But if you are unsure, ask Claude Code, just like, hey, look at this issue. Do you think there is this issue depends on that issue? Would you tackle only one at a time? Tell me yes or no. That's it, something like that. And then you get to know it, and then you can ask it to tackle one at a time, and so on and so forth. Also, like, it's okay if you give it a lot of tasks. The reason why I don't, and this is what will bring us to the next ticket. Let's first allow whatever it is doing. It's okay. I don't really want to focus on that. I want to go into this ticket. The reason I don't usually allow it to do a lot of things together, this is a good example. That other ticket that I mentioned that I had already updated, I couldn't show it to you. This is another good example of where in one ticket it's trying to do a lot of things. So the API ticket originally, ticket number 4, I believe, or 3, I believe, had a lot of these similar, ticket number 3, had a lot of these things, which was like pull data, download status, this, that, storage, all of that was being managed. Similarly here, so much is being managed. Look at this ticket. Data source adapters, generic interface for different types of data like REST, GraphQL. I don't understand. And what is going on? Like authentication handling, maybe no. Like Hacker News doesn't need that. And initially we want to just, I know that I want to work with only Hacker News data right now, so I don't need authentication. Rate limiting, request throttling, what even is that? I have no clue. Error handling, okay, error handling, I can understand if there is some error in downloading, maybe, sure. Some of these things are easy to understand, some not. So what do we do in these cases? Simply postpone. That's the best way to go about it. Postpone doing lots of things, particularly when it created the by the way, this is an interesting interruption. It created the front end in the back end. Okay, so it's going to remove that and hopefully go back to only in the front end. So there was an original front end, and then it had a back end front end. Yeah, all funny stuff happening. So let it kill itself. It's okay. I have no clue what it is going to do. If it is going to kill itself, we are simply going to, yeah, it's definitely going to kill itself. I feel like, yeah, I feel like this is going to be a mess already, and I'll tell you why. Because I think it did not pull the changes that went onto github.com. That's an interesting one. We'll come back to this and we'll restart this process if that's the case. That's okay. I'm going to pause this video here while it finishes, and then okay, so Claude has finished and I took a little bit of a break, and here we are. I'll show you what I did after it had finished its changes. So I have not looked at the changes yet. I know that as we saw in the last time when we did issue number 1, ticket number 1, that I wanted to update the claude.md file both in the backend directory and in the root. I did the same this time. So please update claude.md in root and create one in front end as needed. Please add bullet points to avoid git branch related issues we had in this task. And I tell you what the git branch issues were. So if you remember, we are using the branching. Git has branches. So branches are basically how you work on different features on different branches. It's helpful when you have multiple developers, and we don't have that right now. It's just a good convention, because at some point you will want to maybe run multiple like AI agents on the same project. That's when you will really find it important, or I would say useful. Till that time, even if you don't run them parallelly, if you have different ideas, experiments, etc., that you're trying, and you don't want to mix them all in the kind of the code that goes out for production for like actual like general users, then branching will become very helpful. Anyway, it's a little bit of an advanced topic, so we're not going to deal with that. What happened is I got some issues with the branching because I had not manually pulled the changes that were there on github.com once I merged the changes for the ticket number 1 into the main branch. So main branch is where we hold the code that is going to go live, let's say, right? And any other branches are, let's say, new features, experiments, bug fixes, etc. So I had not put these changes into the main branch, and the main branch, that means, is not updated on github.com. So when I start working now on my computer on the second issue, my computer is not updated to have these changes from the main branch onto my computer, because it is not even there on github.com. Okay. Anyway, so I asked Claude, hey, so you can by the way ask Claude to do these things. So I saw that it was getting stuck, that there was some, like when I looked at what are the changes that it is doing, it got stuck, that it was not able to find the backend. But I knew the backend had been created because that was ticket number 1. So I simply said, please pull main branch and then continue. It pulled, but then it did not it did not merge the code in the main branch, and this is where things get a bit technical. It didn't merge the code that was now in the main branch on my computer into the new branch that it had created for the front end. It had not done that, so I said, hey, can you please do that? These are instructions that, let's say, within an engineering team you'd probably give to a junior developer. It's kind of like that. I hope that we don't have to do these for like just creating normal projects. And like I say, some of these things even I'm learning how we could mitigate, how we could come up with a nice framework that we don't have to, like, we can postpone some of this knowledge as we may need in the future. And I'm always thinking, like, as I'm building this video series, like, how can we make this more either common knowledge, like easily available, find it easy, like make it easy to find somewhere, or make it easy with some tooling that you don't have to maybe manually specify, manually prompt these things when things get stuck. But anyway, so just wanted to say that you can always ask Claude in between a task by pressing escape, and it will continue. So anyway, so it got that done. I pushed all the changes. Now the changes are here. There is a pull request, which is, when the new changes, you want to put it back into your main branch on GitHub. So all of this is ready. I have not tested it. Now the time to test. So I go into my backend and my front end. In my backend, I run this. Oh, my backend is still running. I'm guessing Claude is running it, which is fine. Let Claude run it if it is running it. And then the front end is running. So front end is running on this localhost :5173 port. And let's see if I get anything. So this is the developer console on the browser. This allows me to see if there is any network call, if it is making a call to my API. And it seems like it is not. It was supposed to make an API call. It seems like it is not making an API call, or maybe there is an error. Okay. I'm simply going to copy this error and put it to Claude. Okay, so Claude has stopped fixing this, finished fixing this issue. There was an issue, like I said, there was a bug, and we copy pasted that issue, we pasted in, and now we have this. So I don't know why the coloring is just so odd, but that's okay, whatever it is. But it prints my home directory is this. Now if I open up the browser's inspector, I can check for the network request being sent. It should go to my API, the backend that is, and then I should get a response. So that clearly works fine. I get a response which is /home/brainless. That's my Linux home directory. And that's it. These tickets seem to have been done well. So we'll move on to the next ticket, but that's going to be in the next video.